Some endings are loud. A huge fight, a betrayal, a door slammed for the last time. But some of the most profound endings, the ones that really stick with you, they happen in complete and total silence. It's that slow, quiet vanishing of a person who was once just there, all the time. It's something we all go through, but for some reason we hardly ever talk about it.
Just take a second and really think about it. That person, the one you shared everything with. How does a bond that feels so rock solid just disappear? Often without a single word, without a real goodbye? Well, in this explainer, we're gonna unpack all of it. The science, the sociology, and the psychology behind why our friendships end. And hey, if you've ever lost a friend and just didn't know why, let us know down in the comments, and maybe consider liking and subscribing so we can keep exploring these big questions together. Okay, so to understand why friendships fall apart, we've got to start at the very beginning. We need to look at the powerful, almost invisible forces that glue them together in the first place. Because this isn't just about liking the same music or TV shows. This goes way deeper. We're talking about ancient brain chemistry. That's right, friendship isn't just a social choice, it's a deep biological drive. Our brains are fundamentally hardwired for connection because for our ancient ancestors, being part of a group literally meant surviving. Being alone was a death sentence. And this drive is so powerful that it's actually regulated by a very specific, very potent cocktail of chemicals in our brain. So check this out. It's this amazing trio of chemicals that makes friendship feel so good. You've got oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, which makes you feel safe and trusting with that person. Then there's dopamine, the reward chemical, which gives you that rush of pleasure and makes you want to hang out with them again and again. And to top it all off, serotonin adds that warm, happy glow to the whole experience. This combo is what makes friendship feel absolutely essential, almost like a healthy addiction. But here's the big question, right? If our brains are so hardwired for these connections, why do they break? Well, the answer often lies outside of our own heads. It's not always one big thing, but more like a collection of forces in society that slowly, almost invisibly, pull even the strongest bonds apart. In his incredible book, Bowling Alone, Robert Putnam used this great metaphor about bowling leagues. He pointed out that people are still bowling, maybe more than ever, but they're bowling alone. And this isn't just about a hobby, of course. It reflects a huge decline in something he called social capital. So what is social capital? The easiest way to think about it is as the invisible value we get from our community. It's the trust, the support, the feeling that people have your back. It's the safety net that holds a society and our friendships together. But what Putnam's research showed is that for decades now, that net has been getting thinner and thinner. And I love this slide because it breaks it down so perfectly. You've got bonding capital, which is like super glue for your tight-knit groups, your closest friends, your family. And then you have bridging capital, which is more like social WD-40. It connects you to wider networks, to people who are different from you. The problem is we're seeing a decline in both, which makes our current friendships feel way more fragile and makes it so much harder to form new ones. So the takeaway here is really crucial. This isn't just in your head. It's a real thing. We are living through what experts are now calling a friendship recession. Things like moving to the suburbs, working longer hours, and just not having those community spaces anymore mean we have fewer and fewer opportunities for the kind of deep, consistent connection that a real friendship needs to survive. And all of this brings us to the most painful and honestly the most confusing part of modern friendship loss, this silent ending. This is when a friendship doesn't end with a bang, but with a slow, agonizing fade into nothing. And you know what? Technology has made this kind of ending incredibly, depressingly easy. This is the anatomy of how it so often happens now. First, you have the digital facade. You see their posts, you watch their stories, so you feel like you're connected, but the real one-on-one conversations have totally vanished. Then, friendship gets distorted into something transactional. It's just a series of likes and comments. And when those stop, the bond feels like it's over. Then the algorithm notices you're not interacting as much, and it helpfully starts hiding them from your feed, making the fade out automatic. And finally, the ghosting. Total silence. And this is the result. That feeling. That horrible, sinking feeling of checking your phone, seeing your message has been left on read for days, for weeks, and the silence is just deafening. It's an ending with zero closure, leaving you to just endlessly wonder what you did wrong. So why do people do it? Honestly, it's rarely because they're being malicious. More often than not, it's about avoiding conflict. We just don't have clear social rules for how to break up with a friend, so having that direct conversation feels impossibly awkward. And a lot of people even convince themselves that just disappearing is actually kinder than an outright rejection, completely ignoring how confusing and painful that silence really is. The aftermath of a silent ending like this is a really unique kind of pain. You're left grieving a loss that the world doesn't really see. It's not validated. And psychologists actually have a name for this very specific, very invisible kind of grief.
This is such a key concept. It's called disenfranchised grief. It's pain that society basically doesn't give you permission to feel. I mean, unlike the death of a family member where there are rituals and support, a friendship breakup is usually met with that well-meaning but totally dismissive advice like, oh, don't worry, you'll make new friends. And that invalidation just makes the whole thing feel incredibly lonely.
In fact, the emotional journey is so real that psychologists have found it often mirrors Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's famous 5 stages of grief. You go through denial, right? Oh, they're just super busy, they'll text back. Then comes anger. How could they just do this? Then bargaining. Okay, what if I text them one more time? Maybe we can fix it. And then that deep sadness hits when you realize the empty space they've left behind, before, eventually, you can start to move towards acceptance. So, why is it that some people seem to bounce back from this, while for others, it's absolutely devastating for months or even years? Well, a big clue comes from John Bowlby's attachment theory. Basically, our earliest relationships, usually with our parents, create a kind of mental blueprint for how we handle all of our relationships and their endings for the rest of our lives. And this table just lays it out so clearly. Someone with an anxious attachment style might feel intense pain and start using what are called hyper-activating strategies, like texting over and over to try and fix the bond. On the flip side, someone with an avoidance style is actually more likely to be the one who started the fade out in the first place as a way to protect their independence. And then you have a secure individual. They'll still be hurt, of course, but they're better able to look at it objectively and are way less likely to spiral into blaming themselves. And I think this is really the perfect way to sum it all up. This is the new reality of how friendships often end. It's less of a sudden, dramatic explosion and more of a quiet, slow evaporation, a gradual disappearance that can leave you wondering if it was ever really there to begin with. It's a heavy topic for sure, but it's one that touches every single one of us. Thinking about our own experiences, both the loud, dramatic endings and the quiet, silent ones, helps us understand not just what it means to lose someone, but what it truly means to connect in the first place. So I'm curious, think about your own story. Did a friendship in your life end with a bang, or did it just fade away? Let us know in the comments below. And if this explainer resonated with you, please consider giving it a like and subscribing for more deep dives into the human experience.